Okay, today we're looking at some more countability mistakes, and of course that includes a, an, the, and no article. I want to remind you that countability is certainly connected to those four words, or one of them's not a word, is it? But a, an, the, and zero article depend on countability a lot of the time. And we'll see that when we look at these. But let's look at some mistakes. So there was so many furniture. Now there are two ways we can correct this. We can say there were, we better change that as well. There were so many pieces of furniture is one way we could correct it. There were so many pieces of furniture, or there was so much furniture. You can say so much furniture because furniture is uncountable in English, which is why you never see a furniture. You can't use a or an with uncountable nouns. So it's always going to be some furniture, or maybe sometimes the furniture, because you can use the with countable and uncountable. But yeah, there were so many pieces of furniture, or there was so much furniture. We say was with uncountable furniture, but we say were with plural pieces. Yeah, there were so many pieces of furniture. There was so much furniture. Okay, so that's okay and that's okay. Okay, number two, at work there is very few communication. So in English, communication is uncountable. You can't say two communications, three communications, not usually anyway. I can think of one exception, but not usually. When you mean communication in the general sense of getting in touch with somebody, maybe by email, maybe by phone, maybe by talking, maybe by Morse code, maybe by semaphore, any kind of communication is uncountable. And so you don't see a communication. And you shouldn't see few communication, you should see little communication. Little communication, but few people, few apples, few children, few oranges. Yeah, it's got to be few and countable, but little and uncountable. So at work, there's very little communication in English, meaning not much. Very little means not much. Very few means not many. Okay, number three, nowadays I make less mistakes. Now, I have a lot of sympathy for anybody who makes this mistake, because I know that 90%, maybe even 99% of native speakers make the very same mistake, and they shouldn't. They should say, I make fewer mistakes. It's fewer for countable, which means words that can be made plural and end in an S. It's fewer for countable, and it's less for uncountable. We have less communication, we have less work, we have less money, we have less time. But I have fewer friends than you do. I have fewer children than you do. I have fewer cars than you do. Anything countable and it's fewer, not less. But all the natives make that mistake, just more or less all of them, just like the amount of and the number of. The amount of is very often seen with countable nouns, but it's a mistake. It should be the amount of and communication, the amount of work, the amount of money, but the number of mistakes, not the amount of mistakes. The number of times, not the amount of times. So there are a lot of mistakes with amount of, number of, fewer and less. Okay, number four,